Good morning, good evening, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you might be doing. We wish to welcome you to the Silverlight Show. The silver light shines to illuminate that which lies hidden in darkness. For those of you tuning in today, we welcome you in. I'm going to bring you a rare Saturday episode for a change, mostly because I want to see how it fares. What we're going to talk about is the weekend and how you got it, along with how you got a lot of other things. Hope you're sitting back and enjoying yourself, because we're going to get ready. So the weekend has not been around for terribly long, maybe about 100 years. And the only reason it started was because when trade unions and labor unions were beginning to get their start, the owners started looking at their demands. Fewer hours, better wages. And what's the one thing that employers never want to do? Give you more money. Trust me, when you're negotiating a contract, you can negotiate almost anything else and get it. But when it comes to money, that's when they dig in their heels. I was once at a particular company and they had let me go because their business had dropped, and they brought me back. I said I would come back for, you know, this amount of a bonus, for just a signing bonus, an extra week off of vacation guaranteed every years. I forget everything I put in there, and I took it into the general manager because the owner signed off, and he's like, "Did you have a gun to his head?" Like, nope. He needed me more than I needed him. But that was the only reason I had leverage. Most of the times when you ask for stuff like money, they're going to say, ask us in 6 months. We'll see how we're doing. Oh, I'll put the request into my higher ups. But meanwhile, this is the owner of the company. They have every excuse not to give you money. And that's what they did with weekends. It started because owners were convinced, yeah, you got to let your workers have some time off for church. They're like, yeah, that's, I don't want to fight with the church. That's going to really cost my business. So they allowed workers a couple hours off on a Sunday to go to church. Isn't that generous of the wealthy? Enough time to go and bow your head and remember who your God is. So generous. Around the turn of the century, they'd work that into having Sunday off. Because, day of rest. Part's written in the Bible. It took them 20, 30 years to actually realize that. Sooner or later, the owners, while they're still negotiating with the union leaders, realized a very particular phenomena. You see, when workers are at work, they can't spend money. If they're not spending money, they're not buying your products. And if they're not buying your products, you're not making money. So you have 2 days off on the weekend, various holidays, stuff like that, to get you to spend money. It wasn't because they were generous. It wasn't because they were feeling like being little angels that day. No. So they realized they made a profit off of you being off. That's how you got weekends. But the story doesn't end there. The owners also started realizing, what are other ways that we can get people to spend money? And they'd accidentally already invented one, the weekend. Because one of the beautiful parts about human beings, we get bored. So, you're there Saturday, maybe you have some, Friday, maybe you go out with your friends. Saturday, you're at home with the family. And by Sunday, most people are like, I'm not really looking forward to getting back to work. But at the same token, I'm seeing the same four walls, I'm doing the same things, blah, blah, blah. And it happens all the time. We need a bigger TV. Oh, our fridge is full, but I just don't feel like anything in there. Even if you have whatever you need to prepare a feast for the Pope coming over. Let's order pizza. Let's order Chinese. Let's order whatever. By creating those 2 days, there's pressure and boredom associated with it. Pressure because you got 2 days, you need to get things done. And for most of last century, the 20th century, nothing was open. Well, restaurants and places like that were open, amusement parks, but you weren't going into a bank, you weren't going into a library. They were all closed. So there was not too much to do on the weekends. Eventually, the business owners realized we can make people trade shifts. And so some people, usually part-timers, would work on the weekend, and other people would work during the week. Come the 80s and the 90s and the advent of pagers and cell phones, wow, major technology, the owners got super smart. And they dangled a little carrot. They said, we're going to give you a 24-hour phone. Now, you're responsible for this phone and everything that happens on this phone, but it's your time off. Even if you have to come in and fix stuff, it's your time off. It's your weekend. A few would say, okay, we'll pay you a fee for coming in, whatever it was. But no, they masqueraded time off as your work schedule. I have managed to avoid a 24-hour phone for years. I've only got stuck with one twice. And both times it was really annoying. And now we have work from home. What a great concept. Let me save money on office space instead of having to put 100 cubicles in for 100 employees. Now I might need to put in 10 and have a meeting room and cycle people through once a week because you're going to need to go into the office 1 day a week, whether it's to file some paperwork, administration, to meet with the boss, to meet with a coworker. There are reasons that you still need an office. And this is why the rich are kind of splintering on this. They don't really like people not working where they can see them working, because there's this insane idea that if you have a person with a bottom in the seat, they're making money for your company. Having been relatively high up on the corporate chain, I was considered weird because I don't believe that. You make money when you make money. But they have the idea that a butt in a seat is what makes you more profitable. That's why they're trying to pull back from some are trying to pull back from the work from home, and others are encouraging it because long term, it's ultimately a savings for your company, unless you own real estate. And even then it would help you because you can split your real estate, have 2 companies based in it, 3, 4, whatever you need, and you share your resources. So while you're there and enjoying these 2 days, they're only given to you so that, like the working slave that you are, you can go out and buy stuff. And you're still on call. You're still looking at emails to see if anything critical comes through. You're still doing everything you essentially do at work. The only difference is you're doing it at their pleasure. It's all pretty ingenious when you think about it, and they made them think it was our idea. We fought for this with our trade unions and our collective might, which, by the way, I'm not against trade unions, quite the opposite. I'm for them because collective bargaining is better than individual bargaining. Professional associations, you name it, anything like that, I'm behind it getting some sort of representation. But owners don't change. Like I said, I practice something called management by walking about. Now, there's 2 types of management by walking about. There's my style, which I am not unique in, but I don't know what to call it. So my style, which is looking for trouble. Someone's on the phone, with their head cupped in their hand. You can hear the person shouting on it. Hey, I'm interested. I'm going to pop by and Do you need help? Do you want me to go to my office and take it? And there's management by walking about where the person's going around and nagging you about everything, or just being a distraction, taking another person and loudly going around. And over in this section, we're handling accounts receivable. And this is Dan. He's my best employee over here. He looks after this. Um, that's Linda over there. Hey, Linda, what are you working on at the moment? They're just a disruption. But that's the way it is with everything. There's always a good side and a bad side. The good news, we got weekends. The bad news is we got different types of managers, and now we're probably spending more money than they did. There's never enough money. Not for the owners, not for us. And it's sad because, and I've said this before, if you took the entire world's GDP, converted it to raw salary that you could pay to employees, then, and assume, for this example, we're going to assume billionaires have decided they're going to go without their profits for the year. They're going to take their equal share. Everybody in the world gets around $9,000. Now, if you're in Nairobi and you have a local store, maybe that's enough to make life work for you. If you're in New York City, you're screwed. Weekend or not, you're screwed. And what happens about somebody with a disability? Somebody with an inability? My favorite one to point to is always people with a criminal record. My criminal record is clean. I've had it searched so many times, I almost know it myself. Nothing. But people with criminal records, and this is for minor stuff, their resumes get tossed to the side. One of my managers showed me once that I could usually get away with approving somebody with a criminal record, provided anything they did stayed within Canada. They weren't allowed to deal with anywhere else. And if they had done something stupid when they were 15, 16, so a little bit of vandalism, no theft. Theft was not one of the things that we would overlook, just simply because it's tough to sell to our customers. And if something goes wrong, do you want to know who you're looking at? That person. But it was very subjective, but a lot of employers will just throw the resume right out. So for them, getting $9,000 a year might actually be a darn good thing if we could afford it. The other problem we have with that $9,000 is who pays for maintenance while that's happening. Let's say you have a water line on your road and it ruptures, whatever happens. Do we go around and collect from everybody on the street to get it fixed? Because the government would only be getting $9,000 for each of their employees. So no matter how we balance this, it's never going to work. And that's the tragic thing. As a planet, we are not yet prosperous enough to make sure everybody is taken care of. If we really want to address the problems that we have in society, that should be our number one priority. I know that if you take all the rich people's money in the entire world, like let's talk billionaires, you could take all their money and split it up. It's not going to make a big difference. It will make a difference, but in 1 year it'll be spent, and then what? You go after the same billionaires? It's a self-defeating cycle. But the good news is you have a weekend to think about it and the rest of your life. So with that, we hope you enjoyed this episode of the Silverlight Show. If you did, please like, share, comment. Don't forget to click the bell icon down below so you can be notified every single time we put out a new episode. And we hope you have a fantastic day.